You wake before your mind can decide whether this is morning, night, or just another scheduled return to consciousness. There is no sunrise in here, not in any human sense. Only programmed light, instrument glow, the low, permanent hum of circulation fans, and the feeling of your body suspended in a place where no muscle is ever allowed to fully forget its assignment. For 1 second, maybe less, there is still that old animal confusion. No weight under your back, no pressure in your legs, no pillow holding the shape of your skull, just straps, fabric, breath, metal, and the fact that you are once again opening your eyes inside a machine, moving silently above a planet you cannot touch. The station is already awake around you. It never really sleeps. The systems do not sleep. The filters do not sleep. The air does not stop needing to move. Somewhere behind panels and ducts and sealed compartments, pumps keep working, software keeps watching, and the whole structure keeps doing the endless invisible labor of allowing a human body to survive in a place that was never meant to hold one. You unzip yourself from the wall with the economy of someone who has done this so many times. The movement no longer belongs to thought. A hand on the edge, a slow push, a measured drift out into the narrow module. You turn carefully so your shoulder does not brush a panel. Your feet follow half a second later, almost politely. Up here, every motion continues after you make it. Every gesture has an afterlife. Everything is close. Cables, handholds, storage bags, Velcro tabs, labeled surfaces, laptop screens sleeping in dim standby. Checklists clipped exactly where they need to be. Every square inch assigned, justified, accounted for. Nothing ornamental, nothing careless. The whole station feels like a place where survival edited beauty out of the room and then, somehow, created another kind of beauty anyway. The first thing you always notice is the sound, not silence. Never silence. A station in orbit is quiet only to people who have never stood inside one. The fans are always there, moving air because air that does not move becomes dangerous. Electronics whisper. Pumps murmur through the walls. Somewhere a faint vibration passes through the structure like the memory of a distant engine. It is a mechanical kind of life, constant and impersonal. And after long enough, it stops sounding like background noise and starts sounding like the price of survival. You clean yourself the way people do up here, without any of the rituals that used to make a morning feel human. Damp cloth, controlled motion, tiny floating beads of water caught before they can escape into the cabin and become somebody else's problem hours later. You wipe your face, feel the dryness in your skin. Recycled air leaves its signature on everything. Lips, eyes, throat. Even your reflection looks lightly used by the environment. For a second, you catch yourself in a dark screen. Not long enough to study, just long enough to register what orbital life has done to your face. You still look capable. That matters. But you also look like someone who has been living inside procedure for too long. Breakfast comes in packets and pouches, all planning, shelf life, and mission logic. You anchor yourself lightly and tear one open with hands that know how to calibrate equipment, log data, troubleshoot stubborn hardware, and secure loose objects before most people on Earth have finished rubbing the sleep out of their eyes. The food is fine, better than the cliché, worse than memory. You taste it, but not in the way you remember tasting things at home. Home had heat that moved differently, smells that stayed in a room, bread that could leave crumbs without becoming a hazard, coffee that belonged to gravity. Here, even eating is disciplined. You review the schedule while you eat, even though most of it is already inside you. Timelines, tasks, maintenance windows, comms, exercise, logged work, repeated work, small jobs that stop larger failures from ever being born. The schedule is no longer just a plan. It is structure. It is pacing. It is psychological scaffolding. Up here, routine is not the enemy of feeling. Routine is what keeps feeling from spilling everywhere. Then the day begins in earnest. Your body has learned this place. That may be the strangest part of all. Human beings were not built for this environment, and yet the body, stubborn as ever, has started trying to belong here. The version of you that speaks to Earth is always measured, even, precise, untroubled. Earth does not need your loneliness in the telemetry. Earth needs nominal. Hours pass that way, not as a blur exactly, but as a chain of small completed responsibilities. The station rewards attention and punishes drift. A loose object is not clutter up here. It is a future problem in motion. A neglected step is not a harmless delay. It is pressure being stored somewhere you may have to pay for later. So you keep moving, keep securing, keep checking, keep returning everything to where it belongs. At some point, you notice the same scrape on the same panel you noticed yesterday, maybe the day before too. Your mind has begun using these tiny repeated details the way other people use weather, or street noise, or afternoon light across a kitchen table. This scratch, that strip of tape, the slight discoloration near a vent. Familiarity has become your substitute for landscape. Later comes exercise, not because you want it, but because up here the body has to be defended against the environment every single day. On Earth, gravity did the work quietly for you. It held bone density in place. It made muscles necessary. It reminded your heart what downward meant. In orbit, the body begins negotiating with decay almost immediately. So you strap in, harness pressure across the shoulders, equipment clipped where it needs to be, your feet fixed. Your movement translated into effort by machines designed to argue with weightlessness. You begin the session, and almost immediately, the mood of the station changes. The body enters the room. Breath gets louder. Effort gets louder. Sweat gathers and clings instead of falling. Heat stays close to the skin. The compartment feels smaller now, more physical, less abstract. You miss gravity most when you exercise. You miss the honesty of it. You miss how it used to answer every movement with resistance without needing straps and hardware to imitate it. You miss the stupidity of being able to stand still and feel the whole planet holding you in place. By the time you finish, your shirt is damp and your breathing is rough enough to remind you that you are still an animal underneath all this training. Then a message arrives from home. Nothing dramatic. That is what makes it hit so hard. A familiar face appears on the screen. Ordinary light behind them. A room arranged by comfort instead of engineering. They talk about small things. Weather. Someone they ran into. A repair that still needs doing. Something they cooked. A detail so ordinary it would have passed through you without leaving a mark before the mission. And now it lands with the force of loss. You smile in the right places. You ask questions. You make your voice warm. You do not say that what hurts most is not missing some once-in-a-lifetime event. It is missing useless things. The little human frictions that prove you still belong to ordinary life. Waiting for a kettle, hearing footsteps in another room, opening a refrigerator just to stare inside it, rain against glass, carrying groceries badly, a bad chair, a cold doorknob, traffic, a neighbor's dog. The feeling of a shirt settling naturally on your shoulders because gravity has already decided where fabric should go. The call ends. The station returns immediately. That is another cruelty of this place. Emotion can enter suddenly, but the environment does not honor it for long. Fans keep turning, air keeps moving, procedure keeps waiting. The machine never pauses to acknowledge that for 2 minutes you were almost home, so you return to work. There is maintenance in another module, and for a while concentration saves you from yourself. The panel resists. A connector refuses to seat cleanly. A housing needs more patience than strength. You brace with your feet under restraints and lean into the task with that practiced astronaut calm that looks effortless to everyone except the person performing it. Tiny adjustments. Recheck alignment. Ease pressure. Try again. Eventually the mechanism gives. A small victory. And no matter how many times you see it, your body still fails to process it at first. Not as a globe, not as an image, as scale. This is the view people imagine would heal them. This is the part they envy. This is the part they use as proof that the loneliness must be worth it. And they are not fully wrong. It is beautiful enough to rearrange something inside you. But beauty is not the same thing as comfort. What no photograph can deliver is the distance, the violence of the distance. The unbearable contradiction of seeing home more clearly than ever while being more completely unable to reach it than at any other point in your life. Your hand settles against the frame near the window. Up here, Earth does not feel smaller. You stay there longer than you meant to. Long enough for awe to lose its public face and become something more private. Not wonder exactly. Not sadness exactly. Something heavier and quieter than either. The feeling of being trusted with a view so magnificent it almost justifies the sacrifice. While knowing that magnificence cannot hug you back, cannot warm a room, cannot answer when the station goes dim and your thoughts become louder than the equipment. More controlled. Better at separating feeling from function. On Earth, gravity was so constant, it became invisible. Up here, you understand it as intimacy. Before sleep, you take one last slow pass through the station. Panels glow softly. Equipment waits in disciplined stillness. Velcro holds tiny acts of order against drifting chaos. Air continues through hidden ducts. Somewhere, water moves through controlled loops. Somewhere, software keeps watch over numbers most people will never think about in their entire lives. The whole structure feels less like a vehicle tonight and more like a pact held together by engineering, maintenance, trust, and the stubborn human refusal to stay only where nature first placed us. You return to your sleeping bag and zip yourself in against the wall again. No mattress, no blanket settling with weight, no window cracked for cold air, no traffic below, no building noise, no tree moving outside in the wind. Only fabric, straps, darkness, and the constant mechanical breath of the station surrounding you like a second atmosphere. You let your arms settle. You let the day stop asking things from you. And somewhere below, always below, the planet keeps turning through weather and night and millions of ordinary lives that will never know this exact silence. People are laughing somewhere down there. Someone is late to dinner. Someone is closing a shop. Someone is carrying tired groceries up a stairwell. Someone is stepping out into rain without looking up. The discipline of waking up inside it, carrying it well, and sounding steady enough that the people below can go on believing space is only